pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call. Let the record reflect that all board members are present and accounted for. Board chair has no comments. Looking for approval of agenda.
Motion.
It was moved by Director Bauman and seconded by Director Hofstad to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the agenda as presented, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All abstain. Motion passes 6-0-0. Appreciation, recognition, and presentations. Dr. Gubata?
Excuse me, I didn't know you were going to get there so quickly. I wanted to recognize David Lem, our District Technology Coordinator. And David has been providing technology leadership for more than several years to the district, not only at a big system-wide basis with cable networks, making sure everything's running, getting us all one-on-one iPads, keeping those maintained, communicating with parents, troubleshooting, and just generally keeping us up to date with changes that happen so that we're staying with other districts. When that happens, we usually complain, oh geez, just got used to this system. But a month later, yeah, David was right again. So he has not steered us wrong. He's done a lot of work with budgeting. He's a great advocate for his, not his, but our technology, and we need someone pushing like that. And because of his work, you know, we're as up to date as any district. When this distance learning hit, we were well prepared for it. And we made the best of it we possibly could. In August, he first lost his right-hand person, Joy Mooney. Then he lost, not lost, but the way he lost his left-hand person. She moved up in the world, Michelle Brzezinka. And it was like, oh, right in the middle of things. So he's been working with volunteers, but he has just stayed steady. We did an interview this afternoon to try to get him some help. And David's not one to beat his chest or promote himself, but we all know how valuable he is. Staff actually love David. He's just an all-around good guy. And he's a wizard with technology. I've never had a problem. Either hasn't, well, maybe one or two, but usually not a problem he can't solve. And if he can't, he's getting help and getting to you. So you text or email him, you're liable to get a quicker response. I've learned to text him. And he has set up a help desk system. So that takes in all the needs from the staff rather than just getting bombarded all at once. And then he can prioritize what the needs are. So I think we're just in really good shape, and just to know both that the board level, community level, high school and elementary, we really appreciate and recognize the good work. And here he is again with the Zoom meetings, you know, for the board also. So thank you, David.
Thank you. Any more? Is there any other appreciation, recognition, or presentations? All right, recognition of citizens for input purposes. Good, we start. Want to start with these? I think I'm gonna order it down. All right, Blake Albright. Blake and Jacob.
Yeah.
Yep. For everybody, this is Blake Albright and Jacob Leibel.
We're here to try and get the fitness center changed for 16 and older. Well, my name is Jacob Leibel and this is Blake Albright. We are currently seniors at Royalton High School. We are here to speak on behalf of many high schoolers who could not attend due to work or school-related activities. We are here tonight to ask you to consider lowering the age to 16 for the fitness center. We currently work out in the morning at 5:30, but because of sports or work schedules, we can't always make this time work. However, trying to find someone that is 19 or older to supervise us is not easy. We all know that to become successful and compete in sports, we need to start at a young age. Regular exercise is not only good for us mentally, but various studies have shown that working out will strengthen and boost our immune system. The current obesity rate in 12 to 19-year-olds is currently 20.6% in the US.
We have contacted many fitness centers who all allow 16 and older to work out alone. Snap Fitness, Anytime Fitness, Fitness Connection, and St. Francis, just a few. Mr. Newman also contacted a couple of schools that have familiar fitness centers like Royalton, and they all allow 16 and older. At the age of 16, we are allowed to drive a car, join the army, have adult passport, work a job, and even work at the school. At the age of 18, we become an adult and are moving on to college, and we still are not allowed to work out alone because the fitness center age limit is currently 19. Please, we ask you to reconsider to lower the age limit to 16 for the Royalton Fitness Center. Thank you, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
We have other letters.
Yeah, from other people that weren't able to make
I
it.
take them.
Good.
You might ask how old you boys are?
16 or 17.
Oh, I forgot.
And you guys think that 16 would be, do you think that we wouldn't have to worry about discipline or correct technique at that age then? Because I know that was some of the concern at the beginning, but you know, the machinery is becoming more familiar to you too, so. All right.
Yeah.
So you feel at 16, I'm never in there, obviously, I'm not in there, so I'm just asking, you guys are in there, 16 can handle it?
I feel like you're more responsible.
Okay.
When you get your license, you feel more responsible.
All right.
Sure.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. No, all right. I got a Candace Greer here.
Good evening, board. Okay, so I'm just gonna read, we have a petition out, and we had 75 signatures thus far. And so I'm just gonna read it to you, and then I'm gonna give you one copy that you guys can have, okay? And then we can email you that too, if you'd like.
Okay.
Dear school board and superintendent, we, the parents of Royalton students and community members, will not tolerate the overreach of our elected school officials when it comes to enforcing mandates and any subsequent discrimination towards teachers and students. Together, we should strive to give our kids the best education regardless of their health choices. We understand and appreciate the fact that at this time, the board has chosen to make masking, vaccinations, social distancing, etc. optional. However, if in the future it is mandated by the state and/or federal governments, we want these health choices to remain locally with our district. We have been told by you that we have to comply and our hands are tied. This is an avoidance of your duty. Forced masking is a violation of the individual's right to choose and to self-govern. As you were told in a previous board meeting, there is no science that provides evidence of the efficacy of masking. And to the contrary, there is scientific evidence that masking is harmful to our children. The school board has the ultimate authority over our school. The care, management, and control of independent districts is vested in a board of directors to be known as a school board. We ask that you embrace your authority granted to you from the people in whom all political power is inherent, and join us in standing up for our kids and our rights. Should we continue to follow blindly, more restrictions, recommendations, guidance, mandates, policies, rules will be allowed and enforced upon us. This is a slippery slope. Please consider what is next. This is a big concern for our parents in our district. As you may have noticed from the parental turnout and the rhetoric at the COVID Commission meeting that was open to the public. Of course, we all want our children to remain healthy, but we will not give in to the fear and propaganda created by the mainstream media, government, pharmaceutical industries, corporations, unions, or any other institutions. To close, required masking of children is as absurd, illogical, nonsensical, and potentially dangerous as trying to stop every case of COVID or stopping COVID at all costs. Masks are not needed for children based on near zero risk in children. The risk of dying from COVID is almost zero for young people. And there have been zero reported deaths caused by the transmission of COVID from any student to any teacher in the world. The issue of mask use for children is really a risk management question best left for parents or individuals. The coronavirus pandemic has been a great tragedy. There can be no doubt about that. But it has also exposed profound issues in America that now threaten the very principles of freedom and order that we Americans often take for granted. Thank you. And then I have a copy of the.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. And for Rena Brockhouse. Did I get their first name right?
Yep.
All right.
So I debated a lot about what I was going to be saying to you guys. Kind of went back and forth on it. The first thing I have is a couple of questions. Did you apply for funding to implement testing protocols that is available to you from the state? Have you applied for that?
I can get back to you with that answer.
When you say testing, like, what do you mean specific?
COVID testing
Okay,
of students and staff.
I can get back to you to make sure I give you a rightful answer.
Okay. Do you intend to apply for funding to implement any additional protocols or compliance from our student or staff population?
Once again, I will have to get back to you with that.
And this is what I was talking about when we didn't get answers at the COVID meeting, when it was pointedly asked there as well. All right, I am going to read you my notice, and then I'm going to give a copy to each of you. My name is Karina Brockhouse, and I'm sending you this notice on behalf of Odin and Barrett Brockhouse. My findings raise significant concerns, both medically and legally, of the current mask policy in place. And I'm just talking about the busing right now, but in the future that could change. Masks are ineffective for the purpose claimed by the mandate, potentially harmful, and only authorized for use by an EUA. I'm going to skip ahead here because you've already heard a lot about the inefficacy and the harmful effects.
I'm sorry, I don't know what EUA is.
Emergency use
Oh,
administration.
okay. All right,
Informed consent is required for investigational medical therapies. Regardless of the lack of safety and efficacy behind the decision to require a child to wear a mask, it is illegal to mandate EUA-approved investigational medical therapies without informed consent. Mask use for viral transmission prevention is authorized for emergency use only. Emergency use authorization by the FDA means the products are investigational and experimental only. The statute granting the FDA the power to authorize a medical product of emergency use requires that the person being administered the unapproved product be advised of his or her right to refuse administration of the product. This statute further recognizes the well-settled doctrine that medical experiments or clinical research may not be performed on human subjects without their express informed consent. So I'm going to provide you with my notice that I will not hesitate to take action against you if you try to make my child comply with this.
Thank you.
okay, thank you. Is there anybody else that wanted to speak? Anybody else? All right, moving on. Board committee reports.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I attended the mid-state meeting again this month, and of course, there's always a few people who are leaving the staff, and they're hiring some new people now. We've also been trying to get more able to do things and develop procedures for our unique student situations, because that is a very unique population of kids. They're planning this year's back to school trainings, meetings, and support our community, our members. And also monitoring member districts and training in the step-well system, which is the system we use. Thank you.
All right. Policy committee?
So we went through the gym membership and what that looks like in the legal documentation for using the gym, because it's different in our policy than it is on Skyward. And we talked about cost and use and what tiers apply to that. So most of the, just about every community group that already uses the facility does so under a tier 1 or tier 2, which is free to them because they're students of Royalton or of the district. Like the Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, and some of the baseball and all that stuff. So we got back to that with Mr. Hanson and policy meeting with revisions. So that's
Finance?
Yes, we met, we went more into kind of each of the different funds and what can be used for them and look at the ins and the outs. We're gonna do at our next work session, Don's gonna go more into detail with everybody so you can kind of get a better idea of all the different funds. We are not meeting in September just because we will not have any updated pupil counts or numbers back. So our next one will be in October.
And is there any other committees that met? What?
The American Indian.
So, yep, at our first meeting of the American Indian Parent Advisory Committee, 2 parents came. We had others that weren't able to attend, but will attend our future meetings. And we went through the same presentation that we showed at our community meeting, which is, I was gonna get you abreast on, is talking through our whole ESSER funding that's coming our way, the ESSER 3, and some ideas around opportunities for uses of those dollars and what might make sense. And so we were able to gather input from them and talked about non-concurrence and concurrence, which is their right to present to the board, and the board will then be able to respond to them. That'll come next spring. So it was a very good first meeting, introductory meeting, getting to know everyone.
Any other committee reports? Superintendent's report.
Yeah, so I'll keep continuing on that same vein as that ESSER 3 meeting we had on Wednesday night. We had 7 community members come, and I did receive emails from a few others after giving us some ideas of ways to utilize those dollars. So we had lists for each of the 2 funds of what they might want for uses and then prioritizing those. We as a team will bring that back and start to look at all of those documents and put together what that frame looks like. We can then bring that back to the board so that you can approve what we will ultimately want to submit as our application, which is due October 1st. The principals and I will start working on the narrative just because that can take some time. We have to do some asset mapping and needs assessment things. So we just have to be able to get all of our ducks in a row for that type of thing. But we will bring the financials back to the board to review for approval for submission on that application. And just, we did go to Sourcewell, put on some professional development for our teachers and leadership. Attended that on August 12th and 13th, and I was there on the 12th. Very good presentations there. We had a very good principal presented originally out of Iowa. And he did a nice job of talking about how to ensure you have a team approach in your districts. And I think the teachers found that to be also a welcome professional development opportunity. It was really nice to be together. I think the best part is it was not virtual. So,
No.
And yeah, and so I did also, I will be presenting later in the meeting tonight, an e-learning plan. If the board would want to vote on that and if approve or not. I did take in the information from the work session and made changes to that, and I'll present that later. But I did consult with our bus drivers, paras, and nutrition services staff and got their input as well, and they are supportive of it. So, but I can present that later. So that's it for me.
Okay. Principal report.
I sent a school messenger phone call and email to parents that Skyward is open now for parent teacher conferences. It will be held the Wednesday of workshop week, and then Tuesday, the Tuesday after Labor Day, and school at the elementary will start on Wednesday, September 8th. So with that in place, and now it's finishing hiring up staff and getting ready for workshop week, new staff for both. Mr. Swenson and I come in on Friday, so we'll be orienting all the new teachers and staff.
Mine is just I'm inviting middle school 6 through 12. We have open house Wednesday, September 1st from 5:30 to 7:30. Parents can come in, kids can get their lockers, their schedules. They can pay activity fees, class dues. Any of those types of forms and things that they need to pick up will be available there. They can tour the building, they can take the schedule and tour the building. Teachers will be in their classrooms. We try to make sure that the 6th grade teachers are in their classrooms, so when the 6th graders come around, they can kind of put a face with a name. These guys probably don't need to tour the building. They probably know it better than most of us. It's to meet teachers through the building. Spend an hour, you can spend 15 minutes. We try to make it as free flowing and easy for parents to navigate as possible. Try to eliminate the long lines of standing in one spot. And so we will have that Wednesday, September 1st, 5:30 to 7:30. That's all I have.
All right. All right, moving on to the consent agenda approval. Is there anything on the consent agenda that anybody would like to pull? If not, is there a board member that would like to move the agenda, the consent agenda?
So moved.
Somebody that want to second it? I'll second. Moved by Director Lang and seconded by Director Garrett to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All who oppose? All who abstain? Motion passes 6-0-0. Okay, discussion, information, and action items. Approval of the donations by resolution. So here's, we got a resolution, Dealey. So you guys, I'll get this in your packet. So somebody want to move this? Sure, I'll introduce it. Member Garrett's introduced the following resolution and moved its adoption, whereas all information is included in your packet. The Bauer Group, Horace Mann, $250 for the staff, for the all staff district breakfast, has generously offered to donate to the Royalton School District. Whereas the condition on this gift are included in the packet. Therefore, be it resolved by the Royalton School Board to gratefully accept the gift. The motion for adoption of the foregoing resolution was duly seconded by member Roaring. You did say that, right?
Yep.
And upon a roll call vote being taken thereon, the following voted in favor of. Director
Bauman,
Hofstad. Can you call her on? Sorry.
Director Bauman,
Aye.
Director Garrett.
Aye.
Director Hackett.
Aye.
Director Hofstad. Aye. Director Lang.
Aye.
Director Roaring.
And the following voted against, no one, and the following abstained, no one. The foregoing resolution was approved this 23rd day of August 2021. 6-0-0. All right. Then moving on to approve the e-learning plan.
Okay, so Michelle's gonna bring up that PowerPoint. So as you know, we discussed this at the work session, and I again took feedback and made some adjustments to the opportunity to have an e-learning plan. So we can go to the next slide. What are e-learning days? I'll just give some reminders. E-learning days are where a school offers full access to instruction provided by students, individual teachers due to inclement weather. The state of Minnesota allows for 5 e-learning days due to inclement weather. The rationale: this opportunity to keep our kids in school will mitigate learning loss, ensure no added days to the calendar at the end of the school year. Please keep in mind we have to make up missed days, and then preserves our current days off and improves school calendars. So for example, in the past, I've heard that our district has had to go to school on Good Friday or Easter Monday in order to make up snow days. Having e-learning days available in the need, just in case there's inclement weather, you would prevent that type of makeup day. How do they work? Teachers would conduct e-learning days. We're looking at an asynchronous model. So students who lack internet access will provide hotspots or will to ensure access or be given paper products so that they can utilize more of an asynchronous model to get the instruction. Per statute, teachers do have to be available to students and parents either by phone or email during the regularly scheduled school day. So how do we think about the announcement of this? The official announcement of the e-learning day would occur by 9 p.m. the night before that day. So that official calling of that day would have to be the night before. The notification by the superintendent would alert principals, staff, and families to a potential upcoming e-learning day no later than 8 a.m. the prior day to a snow day. So it gives families, teachers an entire day of it might be called that night. Principals would also be alerting teachers and students to the potential of an upcoming e-learning day, and that could be several days in advance. If we know a storm is on the horizon, say on Thursday, and we start getting this from our weather people on Monday, we start alerting people, hey, we might have an e-learning day, just letting you know, that type of constant reminders. And then reminding them to take home their devices in the event that were to occur. When would it not be called? The first two I was hearing, we're in Minnesota. We have every right to a snow day. That's why part of the advantages of living here is when kids get to wake up and not have to go to school because it's a snow day. So we can't take them all away. So we put down first 2 inclement weather days would be called as snow days. And another way it would not be called if a storm suddenly comes up at the end of the day, early morning, middle of the night, that type of thing, where you just can't, you could never give enough warning for someone to be prepared. That would of course be a snow day. Keep in mind that includes cold days. They can function in the same manner. And so I'm open to any questions, and we can always, if the board would like more information or wants to think about this some more, we could bring this back to another work session and table and not vote tonight. It's up to the board. Problem.
I have a question. So let's say we call it and then there is a snowstorm or the temperatures aren't horrible. Is there any, like, is that okay? Because technically you probably would have called like a,
Yeah, you would have
called school off
Yeah.
anyways, like there's no repercussions for if you were to do it.
no.
Okay.
Luckily, we get some grace there because that can happen
Right.
on a regular day.
We define the 2 days, the first 2 days, the first 2 days of one system or the first.
Like the first 2 days, we wouldn't have school.
Okay.
I think I
And we can
especially,
change that. Right?
I especially liked it. I think the snowstorm, that seems like great. They can predict snow will get, 10 inches and you get nothing or dust, kind of like rain, right? But I liked it especially for the cold, I think, because that seems to be much more predictable, and some of these really cold weeks that if it, gets down to 30, 40 below, we can be, active for that, right? I especially like that because I think the snow days are always tough too. Seem to be tough to predict, right? But I definitely like it supported for something on some of these really cold days. And those can be done in advance too, sorry.
Mr. Hackett,
Yes.
I have been having a few questions from parents, because we do all live in Minnesota, and some of us longer than others. But a lot of times snow comes up during the school day, and it's extremely dangerous. And to get the buses on the roads before they're sliding off of them, and that's happened. And we really have to be a little more proactive about that. Now with technology and with Mr. Lamb, who does a really good job, but I don't know if he'd be our weatherman or not. But I think, you know, I really do. Some parents are pretty concerned about that. They're not sure. They're just wondering. And the other thing is in my area, as you know, there are limited areas sometimes for access. So they have to have their packets or whatever they need to take home. And sometimes those days can be not just one day, but 3 or 4. So, that's the other question parents had is, well, then what happens then? I said, I don't know, I'm gonna ask, I'll ask right here, what happens then?
Well, most importantly, we must keep our students as safe as possible, right? So we
That's
want to
correct.
always make our decisions on the side of safety. So if snow comes up and we need to have an early release to get our kids home safely, we will do that. That's not going to be an e-learning day because teachers wouldn't have time to even think about that. Students, it just isn't fair to families to do it that way, I don't think. So that would occur. If we have a snowstorm that would extend across a couple of days, we would have an option to have we have 5 days. So ultimately, if we know that storm is persistent, say they're telling us that it's going to be I'm just going to give other examples, a Thursday, Friday situation, we would be allowed by statute, if this is approved by the school board, to have 2 e-learning days in a row. They could do that.
Thank you. I think parents need to be really well informed, however, there's a little bit of nervousness about this. I agree with them. I think that there should be. I really do, because Minnesota is a dangerous place to live in the winter, especially. So, as you know, and I know. I mean, drive those roads sometimes when it's clear ice, it's not good. So, I want to keep our babies safe.
So you talked to the bus drivers and the lunch staff?
Yep.
And what was their answer?
They were supportive of this. And they too asked about the early release, wanting to ensure that our students stay safe. So I'm getting others asking about early releases.
Any other questions on this?
I don't think so. I know I was pushing on the snow days last time, just for kids' mental health. That's one of the things we brought up last year was if we can give them a break, we can give them a break to do that, and kids need snow days. My opinion, but I'm good with the 2 days, whether they're the first 2 days or the first day it is, and then the third time it happens at that one, to break it up like that. If it happens or if it doesn't, whatever. Otherwise, I'm good with it because beyond that, obviously everybody has a plan for the end of the school year. So vacations start then, baseball and sports and all the things that happen at the end of the year. So keeping that as a concrete date is better than the alternative, in my opinion.
My personal problem with it is access, internet access. And if we approve this, after the first one, you need to find out what worked and what didn't and get better every time. That would be the first time isn't going to be the best, but you can hope that you would get better at it. And I hope in the next 5 years, access has improved in the last 5 years. If you think about how your cell phone reception and everything has improved in 5 years, I can imagine in 5 years it'll be a lot better. So
That brings up a good point. So I know we said we'd supply hotspots, make sure they have connection. Do we know which students, so let's say it's 7 o'clock, we think it's gonna be cold or a storm's coming, so we're saying, okay, be ready for it, take your, your Chromebooks home. Do we know who we need to also?
That would be when those so remember, we're gonna start reminders early on.
Yeah.
So that's when those conversations start taking place with teachers and principals and other leaders in our building saying, okay.
I didn't know
how
if
can
we
help you?
knew based on from
Yeah.
last year and who
Yeah.
needed.
Yeah, and we likely will
Those
know
reasons.
some, and as we have new
Well-
students attend, and we will always ask.
So I'm just sitting here thinking, and perhaps a day like that might actually give you an answer to why some students aren't getting some stuff done is because they don't have access. I mean, they maybe just don't say anything, or access is, subpar. You know what it's like working on something when you have watching the circle go around and around. How many times can it do this,
Right.
So, and maybe they're spending a lot of time and getting frustrated and just quitting.
Right.
And
That will give us better information, great. And then maybe we can do a better job of ensuring kids have hotspots, whether it's a weather day or not. If that's what they need, we need to
Right.
help them. We need to somehow try it to fill the gap.
All right, pull the board. Raise your hand if you're ready to vote on this or not. All right, somebody want to move it?
I'll move it.
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved by Director Hofstad and seconded by Director Bauman to approve the e-learning plan presented in our packet on whatever date that was, for the August 23rd, 2021 meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye. All who abstain. Let the record reflect the motion passes 5-1-0. All right, upcoming meeting schedule. We got a work session coming up. We're gonna have a work session in September. Then we're gonna get to the every other month schedule, but we wanted to have that one in September because of the ESSER dollars that are coming up, I believe is the reason. So what works for anybody?
It's always nice if possible to have a week in between the work session and the regular session, if that's possible.
Regular meetings.
Right. When's the regular meeting?
Regular meeting is the 27th.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if we could do the 13th.
That'd be 2 weeks. Okay, 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
1 week in between.
Oh, okay.
To give time to prepare in case there's something that comes up for the work
13th
session.
is good for me. How about anybody else?
I'm good.
September 13th.
Works for Mary.
Works for Mary, that's 3.
Yeah.
Sounds-
that worked.
Yeah, that's 4. Dr. Waring?
Yep.
All right, September 13th, 6 o'clock, everybody? Okay. All right. Regular board meetings on the 27th. Oh, I thought I just read a little further. I did have that right. Policy. September 7th. That work for you, Ryan?
7,
Yeah,
are we doing it 14?
or the 14th? 14th, all right,
That's right, the first of the school.
all right. 14th at what time?
As 8 to 9 on the schedule. Are you teaching that?
Yep, that's fine with me. I just have to,
8 to 9, gentlemen.
yep, get it on my schedule. All right. Any other meetings scheduled? You guys aren't gonna meet for finance?
Correct.
That's October, right? All right. Anybody else got a meeting? Otherwise, is there a motion to close the meeting for negotiations?
So moved.
Is there a second? Oh, I will. It was moved by Director Lang and seconded by Director Hackett to close the meeting for negotiation strategies as permitted by Minnesota State Statute, Section 13D.05 subdivision 3A. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All who oppose? All who abstain? Motion passes 6-0-0. We will go into closed meeting in 5 minutes. The only business that will be conducted after that will be adjournment. So 5-minute recess.